Hi there, my name's Scott McDonald, and today I'm going to teach you how to do a walking side flip on Trampwall. Before learning these, you should be comfortable with both swan dives and pullovers on the wall, and with side flips on the trampoline. There are actually 1.5 flips in a walking side flip. For this reason, it would be very useful to already have experience with trampwall tricks that use more flip rotation, such as 1 and 3s, or even better, walking brannies. A walking brannie uses the exact same amount of both flip and twist as your walking side flip, just distributed slightly differently. Also just be aware that they might twist in opposite directions depending on how you learned your regular brannie and side flip. As always, I recommend wearing wrestling shoes for the sake of grip. So, what is a walking side flip and how does it work? Simply put, it's a wall run into an inward side flip that starts and finishes on your back. Technically, there's a half twist in this trick, but it's broken up into a quarter twist into the flip and a quarter twist out of it, so it never actually feels like you're twisting so much as just continuing to turn. Your takeoff stance depends on which direction you side flip. If you drop your left shoulder into the flip, you're going to take off with your left foot on top, and vice versa. This will allow you to open your hip and shoulder away from the wall without feeling tangled up on your own legs. It is possible to do these from a cross stance, but it feels pretty awkward, so I wouldn't recommend learning it this way. To do a walking side flip, start by running the wall at a comfortable height. When you're ready to go, extend your body by standing up into the takeoff, try to minimize the angle between your hips and chest, and get your leading arm up next to your ear. Push straight upward through your feet with a 1-2 rhythm and begin opening your hip and shoulder to the side. Start throwing your arm down when you're fully upright and sideways, tuck and do a quick side flip as you hit the apex of your bounce, and then finish squaring up as you float down. Land on your back with your arms and knees bent in front of you, and then pull over back to the wall to complete the trick. As far as visual reference points go, as you come off your back, you're going to spot the face where you're going to place your feet, and then turn sideways and spot a fixed point as you push off the wall. In this case, it's the purple thing. At this point, unless you consciously focus on staring sideways throughout the entire flip, your vision will probably track over the ceiling momentarily as you turn over. Either way, you're going to spot the trampoline as you exit the flip and keep watching it until you land on your back, at which point you'll use your normal pullover visuals to complete the trick. Now that you understand how walking side flip works, let's break it down into a few simple drills. I recommend having a friend throw a mat for anything you feel uncomfortable with. If you're lucky enough to have access to a tall wall with a short side, you should learn both the drills and your first walking side flips there. There's a good chance you're going to rush the takeoff and push yourself too far out when you first try, so this will make things as safe as possible by giving yourself more leeway in terms of both height and distance. Wherever you're learning, try to keep things as safe as possible. If you're training in an enclosed setup like this, mat the wall behind you, and if you're training in an open setup like this one, mat the frame behind you. This will help keep you safe in case you go too far. First up, you're going to simulate the takeoff by doing a cradle in the same direction as your side flip, focusing on pushing upward off the wall and actively spotting sideways. Get used to feeling the apex of the bounce and the timing you would use to flip. You can even mime the tuck if you want, but don't let yourself actually go upside down yet. Next, you're going to bounce on your feet and get used to the visuals and feeling of doing a side flip with the wall beside you. Once that's comfortable, add a quarter twist to both the start and the end of your side flip. To add the first quarter, all you need to do is take off facing the wall instead of being already sideways. To add the second quarter, just keep turning in the same direction to land facing away from the wall when you finish the flip. Once you can do both of these individually, combine them to do them in the same flip. Try to feel a deliberate pause when you're sideways instead of just continuing to twist over the top like a brannie. Once you can comfortably do that, miss your feet, land on your back, and pull over to the wall. For our final drill, you're going to revisit the floaty, patient takeoff you used in the cradle drill, but this time you're going to add a flip to it and do a walking side flip to your feet. Even though it seems like a much bigger movement, resist the urge to rush. The more violently you throw into this, the more likely you'll get lost in the air and miss your visual reference points. That said, you also don't want to hesitate and wait until you start falling to begin flipping. Once you're able to do these pretty easily and can control your placement, all that's left is to miss your feet and go to your back like you did in the previous drill. Once you can do that and pull over back to the wall, congratulations, you just did your first walking side flip. Let's take a look at some common walking side flip mistakes and how to either fix them or just avoid them outright. Most of these issues are caused by either rushing or hesitating when you take off. Rushing the takeoff means that you won't direct yourself upward, so instead of being able to set and have a very brief, effortless flip at the apex, you're going to feel a lot of force as you push outward and flip at the same speed from start to finish. Almost everyone does this when they're first learning, but it's going to cut your potential set, and therefore height, in half, and generally make everything harder. Usually this involves pushing off both feet almost simultaneously as if you were drop kicking the wall, dropping your leading arm early, crunching your knee and elbow close together like some kind of Trampwall golem, pushing outward with your legs and hips, and getting lost in the flip. This also increases the risk that you'll land over-rotated with locked legs, which will force you to take off immediately for your pullover. This usually feels like a sketchy backwards roll and can be very hard to direct. If you land with your legs dropped, the pullover might not even happen at all. Instead of all that, do the following. Consciously feel a 1-2 rhythm with your feet, hold your leading arm straight up by your ear, get your knee and elbow as far apart as you can to extend your body, push yourself straight upward, tuck into the flip at the apex, and then stay tight and float down while you finish squaring up. It's not meant to feel violent or panicked. It should feel like you're trying to maximize your height and then do a really quick, effortless flip at the top. On the other end of the spectrum, if you stall out or just wait too late to flip, do everything you can to get past your neck and land safely on your back. If you open too early, you won't have enough flip rotation to make it to your back, and that leads to rather violent landings like this one. Because a walking side flip, Barani, and Jonah all share the same amount of flip and twist, it's important to clearly define which trick you're doing. If you take off facing forwards and only start turning once you're in the air, it's going to look like a bit of a cross between a side flip and a Barani. If you turn off the wall like a side flip, but then keep turning as you start the flip, it's going to be a little more back flippy and look like an ambiguous cross between a side flip and a Jonah. If you're seeing the ceiling in the middle of your walking side flip, this might be what's happening. If you're drifting laterally during the trick, consciously focus on keeping your whole body in line with your feet as you push off the wall. Any forward or backward push or lean can cause you to drift once you're airborne. Generally speaking, you're safer landing in the middle or towards the far springs than closer to the wall. While you can recover and pull over to the top from anywhere in the bed, a close landing will force your pullover to be nearly vertical, which usually feels sketchier and harder to control. On the other hand, it can be equally difficult to control a far landing, as the closer you land to the springs, the quicker and more aggressively they'll push you towards the wall. Also make sure you finish squaring up, and don't let your arms fight your twist as you come out of the flip, as this can throw your pullover at awkward angles. Lastly, if you go too far out in an enclosed setup, you might find yourself making contact with the bottom of the wall before you land on your back. This can be pretty scary if you're not expecting it, but it'll come in very handy once you're comfortable with your walking side flip. If you can touch the other wall without even trying to, just adding a slight bit of deliberate outward push will make for an effortless transfer. Anyway, I think that'll do it for my tutorial. I hope this video gave you everything you need to learn walking side flip, but if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. As always, please like, share, and subscribe to keep up to date with new videos. Message me on Instagram at Scott A. McDonald if you're interested in coaching. And until next time, good luck, happy training, bye.